Hey everyone. In this video, I want to share with you some tips that will hopefully help you if you're a hopeless romantic, because we all know that being a hopeless romantic is no fun at all, and if anything, you want to stop those tendencies so that you can become a hopeful romantic and actually end up keeping the people that you desire attracting. So I used to be a hopeless romantic, so I know everything I was doing wrong, and I know what I did to get rid of those tendencies. So hopefully this video will help you, because I'm going to impart basically what I did, what my journey was. And it all pretty much began by choosing to actually work on myself, just choosing to become a better person and to grow as much as possible. The more you work on yourself, the harder it is for you to be swayed by outside things, the harder it will be for you to actually ruin relationships because you're working on yourself. You're becoming a better person. You'll become more attractive. And that's a huge part. And part of this is working on your self-worth. That's pretty much step number one. Do as many things as possible to increase your self-worth and to even develop self-worth. So what worked for me in this regard is I used to do this practice all the time, where I would take time to find a quiet place and just sit in the question of, who am I? I would ask that in my head, and I would answer it as honestly as possible, basically listing my character traits, the skills I had, basically as many things as possible that make you who you are. And you want to be honest here, because you'll know if you're lying to yourself, and you don't want to do that. So when you answer it, an example for me would basically be, I am confident, I genuinely care about other people, I am ambitious, I am intelligent, and so on and so forth. You just are affirming what you know about yourself. You're basically getting to know yourself, because that's how you develop self-worth. It's very difficult to have self-worth if you don't know who you are, because then you don't know what you bring to the table. You don't know your value. You don't know your worth. So self-worth, developing it, is all about getting to know yourself. So take the time to do that. I know that this seems like meditation, and it kind of is in a way, but meditation is not a bad thing. Take the time to do it. Don't turn it off just because you're like, oh, only weirdos meditate, or it's a bad thing. Look, if you want to improve your life, you have to take time to actually do that, and this practice will help you in that regard. So don't think of it as a chore. If anything, it makes your life way better. So I highly suggest you all put this into practice in your own life. I can't even tell you how much it helped me, just that practice alone. But anyway, on to the next thing. So the next step that helped me immensely was learning to put myself first. If you're a hopeless romantic, then you know, as I did back in those days, that we tend to put other people before ourselves. That's part of why you end up being a hopeless romantic. Because when you start putting new romantic interests before yourself, before you're even in a relationship with them, you're just dating and you're putting them before yourself, that's really needy. And neediness is pretty much the main killer of potential relationships and relationships in general. It's just something that is super unattractive. And even if people can't quite pinpoint that that's why they lose attraction for you, it's usually a huge cause. So neediness is something that you want to drill out of you as quickly as possible. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to start putting yourself first. This means focusing on yourself and honoring commitments, not basically putting this new romantic interest before everything else in your life, including yourself. When I was a hopeless romantic, I was willing to drop plans that I made with friends like weeks in advance if I knew that a girl was available on that day. That's super needy. That was basically me telling her that she was more important to me than anything else I had going on, even though she wasn't even my girlfriend. We were just gonna go on a date. That's not what you want to do. That's incredibly needy. So you want to stop that behavior as quickly as possible. If you make commitments with your friends or people you care about, then honor them. Don't cancel them just because your romantic interest is available on that day. Tell them, hey, look, I made previous commitments and I'm going to go honor them, basically, and tell them, hey, look, I'm free on this day at this time. If that works for you, let me know. And if not, then we can reschedule to another time. And that's pretty much all you need to say. You don't need to apologize, nothing of the sort. But do not cancel your previously made plans just to fit in this new romantic interest. That's putting them before everything else in your life, and it will make you needy. So don't do that. Put yourself first. It's not selfish. The only thing that would make that selfish is if you literally stopped caring about other people, but it's not going to make you do that, so don't worry. But anyway, I highly suggest that you all do that. And now the next step is to work on your self-esteem. That kind of goes hand in hand with self-worth, but basically you want to work, just like in the last step, to killing as much neediness that you have. So this means work on your insecurities. We all have a ton of them. Believe me, I know. We all have insecurities, and it can be difficult to completely eradicate them. But you don't need to completely eradicate them. Instead, just work on reducing them as much as possible. So whatever insecurities you have, try to chip away at them and try to lessen the effect they have over you. For instance, if you have trust issues, start working on that, because that is huge. That's a relationship killer. If you can't learn or grow to trust other people, then you're going to scare away high quality people, because they're not going to want to deal with that. I mean, speaking for myself right now, I would not want to deal with any woman who wouldn't trust me, because I don't feel like I need to earn her trust. She should trust me from the beginning and then lose trust if I end up doing things that warrant it. If I were to cheat on a woman, then yeah, I would hope she would lose trust, but I wouldn't want her to start the relationship having no trust in me and wanting me to earn it. That's stupid. I'm not going to spend my time on that. And that's the way most people are. So work on as many insecurities as possible, because they can be relationship killers. And you basically want to get away or get rid of any red flags that you may have. So work on your self-esteem. Build up your self-image. Start believing in yourself. Start being kind to yourself. Start treating yourself as you would your friends, as you would a best friend even. Be kind to yourself. You just want to grow your self-esteem so that it isn't an obstacle to you finding a great relationship. And all that starts by you taking the time to do it. Practicing all the aforementioned things I've already gone over. Those will help build your self-esteem immensely. But beyond that, you just have to stop getting in your own way. So do not be super hard on yourself. It solves absolutely nothing. Believe me, I know. So stop doing that. Be kinder to yourself. Be gentler to yourself. Be a friend to yourself. Have your own back. Just as much as possible, be nice to yourself. And one last thing I pretty much want to say is that there's nothing wrong with being romantic, so don't change that. The part that we want to change here is the hopeless part, which basically means you're getting in your own way, so now you need to step the hell out of your own way and help yourself instead. But don't ever lose romantic tendencies. I used to believe that, I'm a very romantic guy. I've been that way my whole life. I'm Italian, or of Italian descent. I'm also a bunch of other things, but Italian is the main one that I pretty much feel connected to. And Italians are a pretty romantic culture. I mean, hell, you have Italians to thank for Valentine's Day, so they're a romantic culture. So I've always been romantic. And I remember there was a time a few years back where I was thinking that being romantic was a bad thing. I thought that it created neediness and that women would be put off by it because it's kind of too fairy tale-y, or just it kind of felt like putting women on a pedestal. But here's the thing, you can be romantic while being completely 100% authentically yourself and not being needy at all and not putting your partner on a pedestal, and there's nothing wrong with that. So do not change the fact that you're romantic. That's a good thing, especially if you're a woman, because people are always asked who's the most romantic gender, and they say that it's women, but men are actually the ones who do most of the romantic stuff. They buy the flowers, they create a special night with candles and a trail of rose petals leading to the bed and so on and so forth. They buy wine, they create a meal for their girl. Men are very romantic, so women, if you can be romantic, then by all means do it. Don't wait for your guy to do that for you. If you are romantic yourself, express that. It's so rare. Men will love it. So being romantic is not a bad thing. Never think of it as being a bad thing. If anything, be a hopeful romantic. Just drop that hopeless aspect and replace it with hopeful, and you will once you start working on yourself and making yourself a better person. Anyway, this video is getting really long, so I'm going to end it here. I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!